I'm Karen Mardal from Denmark, an American working in Denmark.
And I'm Marjorie Jones from the UK.
So we wanted to talk about a community of tribes, mostly in Europe though. So doing your own thing is perfect and ideal for some of us, but those that seek a tribe, you need to know where they are. So we want to just briefly mention some professional organizations and conferences and online communities to which you can belong. And then we want to focus on one in particular. So professional organizations, one which you pay for membership and all that kind of stuff and get whatever benefits they offer. There's TCOM in Germany. Any Germans around can always tell you, the rest of you, what that's about. There's the Suomen Teknisen Viestinnän Yhdistys. That's the Finnish technical communication organization. And Nick Hill, their president, is here somewhere. And he's up there. You can just go and talk to Nick. He's a very nice guy. And TC Europe, you can also talk to Nick about them because their website was down. And I mean, he has nothing to do with them. It's just the website was down. Tech writers in Poland, I mean, a really big shout out to what's happening in Poland in the tech writing community. There's a bunch of people from Poland, and there's some people that have techwriters.pl on their t-shirts. Talk to them. And the ISTC, the Institute, yeah, there's one right up front here. Talk to him. And then the ISTC, the Institute for Scientific and Technical Communication in the UK. And of the conferences, there's loads of them. You might have heard of one called Write the Docs. You have to Google that, you can find out about it. TCOM and TC World. TCOM is TCOM's big event, and then they have TC World, which is in English mostly. The other stuff is in German. SOAP, spelled little S-O-A-P, exclamation mark, is an amazing conference, again, by the people in Poland, and I strongly encourage you to attend. They have a call for papers right now. UA Europe, run by Matthew Ellison, who is here somewhere. But he's there in the back, hand waving. And that's also a great one. It's all about user assistance, and people come from all over the world to that one. And then finally, one conference, because there's tons, we just wanted to mention a few. TC UK, Technical Communication in the UK, that is the conference run by the ISTC. And I just want to hand this over to Marjorie, who's going to take over from there.
So I'm going to talk about one of the professional organisations that we know best, the ISTC. Do you mind holding that a minute so I can scroll this? So it's the home of professional and technical communicators in the UK, and more members live elsewhere in Europe. So what's in it for me if I should join? It's a community of like-minded people, technical writers, content strategists, information architects, etc., and some who do development type work for publishing. There's an award-winning professional magazine, recognised and accredited professional organisation, can add value to your CV. Membership is tax deductible, £99 a year. Anyone can join as a junior member, but full members and fellows have to reach a demonstrable and approved level of competence. 2 minutes. There's a community, they run the TC UK conference, and there's an opportunity to learn from each other. For example, some of us, like me, write for developers, but others write brilliant documentation for other industries.
So as I said, professional organizations are not for everyone. Some will be happy with the wonderful level of support and community that they get from free organizations that still require some work, as we know from our volunteers here at Write the Docs. So you might ask, why do you join a professional organization? So Marjorie, can you briefly say in like 5 seconds?
Yes, well, I was a developer. I moved to technical writing within the same company. I knew nothing about it. I just wanted to be with people that I could learn from. And most of what I know about technical writing, I've learned either directly or indirectly from my ISTC members or links that they referred me to or places that I was referred to. So why did you join, Karen?
Well, I joined the ISTC in the UK despite living in Denmark because they were a good community. I went to the conferences, and I went to several conferences, and then I thought, I like these people. It's kind of like living together with somebody and then deciding, let's get married. So that's kind of like the reason. But anyway, as I say, if you have any questions about the ISTC, contact us, the techwriters.pl or SOAP, UA Europe, there's a bunch of information, but know your communities because there's a lot of network. You can expand beyond what you get from this awesome Write the Docs conference. Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Katarina, and I'm head of the information development office in one of the biggest software development companies in Ukraine. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about our professional blog, the blog that we decided to establish one upon a time when we felt like just technical writing is not enough for our team, that we want to apply our creativity in some more styles of writing and try something new. So basically, why did we decide to start our own professional blog as a team of information development at our company? Is that once we just felt that we have enough experience that we'd like to share with other people, that we'd like to teach to other people, and we decided to write posts educating people and sharing our knowledge. One of the aims of this blog is to build a community of technical communication in Ukraine, because we have a lot of technical communicators here and there, but we are not united as a community, and that was one of the purposes. The other one was networking, so having a blog helped us get acquainted with professionals from our industry, from other countries, to get their point of view on some aspects of technical documentation that we wrote about. And of course, it helped us receive feedback on the problems that we shared. It helped us communicate with other experts in this industry. And of course, blog helped us reveal space for creative writing, and people were really passionate about it. So some people came up with such ideas as describing user personas through comparing them to Hogwarts houses from Harry Potter, or, for example, writing a blog post about maintaining the legacy UI text as compared to the making your way through the jungle forest, or comparing an information development expert with a detective on a project team, which was quite fun. So that's the address of our professional blog. Feel free to visit it, feel free to comment, feel free to contact us. And for those of you who are deciding on whether to start or not your professional blog, I'd say do try one. And here are some tips that will help you start a blog. So first of all, if you're going to make a collaborative blog, so you're going to gather a team of passionate contributors. So in our case, this was not a problem, as everyone wanted to apply their passion to the profession and show it somewhere. The next one is select a platform for the blog. So we were lucky enough to have a blog expert on our team who investigated and analyzed various blog platforms and selected one. So in our case, we went with WordPress. And of course, you should agree on the appearance, structure, and other stuff like navigation, social networking, present in your blog. And then we decided that all in all, everything should be structured and be in order. So we made a preliminary schedule for blog posts and agreed on them with the teammates. And of course, we set up the effective review process. So when everyone could get the help they need and get the feedback right at the early stage of producing the post. So thank you. I've run out of time. So if you're interested in how we managed to create a blog and maintain it, feel free to come up to me and talk to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Petros Sasnik. I'm a solution architect at SoftServe, and I did probably dozen projects on agile methodology, and it's taken probably more than 15 years from the beginning of that hype, and it's probably a time to look back and to see what works, what's not. So this topic pretty controversial. So if you feel offended and want to talk, feel free to contact me. So let's talk a little bit this topic. Now, when I would say that agile become a new waterfall, every company is telling that they are agile. And if you see the company who neither flexible, neither agile, neither willing to change, is adopting agile practice, you should be a little bit skeptical about them. Do you remember the company called Nokia? They were agile. They spent probably millions for the consultants. They had that certified Scrum Masters. And did they help them? No. If company doesn't want to change their culture, they think that these consultants will teach them the tricks and bug, and they immediately become agile, and something changed. But they are not willing to change. The next example, Microsoft, looks like they faced the problem that they should fire people who adopted that old culture, and they can't change. They would definitely change if they would go to other company, but inside of same company, they can't change, and they firing a lot of people, and at the same time, they are hiring a lot of people with same skills, just to switch company culture. You might compare the two products, for example, Skype for Business and Azure Web Services or Visual Studio Online Team Services. Visual Studio Online Team Services produces a new version every 2 weeks. Skype for Business, just poor product. So I would say there is no silver bullet. Probably one of the most influential book in information technology from Frederick Brooks from 1986. He said that there is no silver bullet. And what's the problem with agile as we adopt it from the consultants? So these burn down charts. How many times the project manager came to you or Scrum Master and said, why your chart looks like stairs instead of that straight line? This is PM stuff. This is not your work. This is work of PM. Velocity, estimates. They are telling nothing to you about the quality of your product. You might spend an hours in that planning pokers, but if you don't plan quality, it wouldn't appear. And if you talk about velocity instead of quality, it wouldn't appear. Big upfront design. It's big upfront design is just like some bad word. But there are techniques which made this big upfront design not so big. And I am an architect could say you, if you wouldn't put into your architecture the features which allow you to evolve, to be flexible, your architecture won't be flexible. And the cost of change on the later stage of projects would be enormous. And I would say the constant factor in this is just like a water in the river. It may flow forever, and it may fill any bottle that you want. So to summarize, agile methodologies would not disappear overnight. And I would say you should have a common sense and focus on the main stuff instead of rituals.
All right, thank you.
That's all from me.
Hi, I'm Gabriel. I work at Wikimedia Germany. We support the community of mostly German-speaking Wikipedia authors and the sister projects of Wikipedia. And what we do at our department is fulfilling wishes. So authors come to us and say, oh, I would like Wikipedia to do this or that, and then we do a big community process where we collect the wishes and prioritize them and then try to fulfill them. And even though I'm a developer, I'm also I've studied technical writing, and I found out that the toolbox of technical writers very much applies to this work, and I want to show it to you how and why this applies. So what skills are important here? The first toolbox is talking the right language to the right audience. So in our case, we have at least two audiences. One is a less technical audience, that of the author. So we have to communicate what we are doing, in what time frame, and how the finished, or through, for example, through the use of prototypes and mock-ups, how the finished product will look like, and check if is this what you wanted. And of course, you have to also talk to the developers to make them understand how the finished product should work and talk their language. The other thing that technical writer, where a technical writer can excel, is some understanding of the product. So you can say, okay, this is technically feasible, this fits in the overall vision, and this is some kind of pipe dream or wish that can't be fulfilled because it is too vague. And the most important skill that a technical writer brings to the table is walking a mile in somebody else's shoes. So you can really check is what you're doing in sync with the audience. Is this really what you want? Talk to the people and get into their minds. And that leads to situations where the actual realization of a wish or a feature looks completely different from what was actually wished or what was actually described. And that is also a very valuable skill to communicate that in a better way. So the key skill or the key to success in such a project that doesn't have a technical writer but has developers, community managers, and product managers is that the skills of technical writers are very much applicable. And if you're looking for some project where you could apply your technical writing skills outside of your normal day work, maybe you can look for a cool open source project, maybe Wikipedia, but there are also lots of other nice open source projects, and then apply your skills as a technical writer. They aren't confined to your domain. You can easily reuse them as a product manager, as a community manager, and in an open source project or in a company that works on software projects. Thank you.
So, my name is Lisa, or Lisa, it's easier really. I'm from the same company as Kate, the first Lightning Talk speaker today, which reminds me that I'm late with my blog draft post-submission date, but never mind. So my talk, initially I called it the only deliverable that mattered, and probably it's kind of a too strongly said. I would say the deliverable that mattered most. And I'm kind of gonna start from far off. Good. I'm gonna start from far off, but I hope this leads somewhere. So when we were taught English in school and university, there were all these textbooks by which you learn, and there was always this kind of a weird exercise that was called find the odd one out. So basically, they would give you like 4 words, like apple, orange, grapes, and carburetor. The odd one out, right? So if for me I put these 4 words, which would be the odd one out for me? Ouch. Right? But that's kind of how it is. So for me, if I think like a doctor save people and firemen save people, and what do I do at my work? So what kind of value do I deliver? Which is kind of the word value, it's always like comes with angels singing and bright light shining, it's something, yes, value. So what kind of value do I deliver if I ask myself? And it's kind of pretty hard, to think what I do for the universe as a documentarian, or for the rainforest, or for my country. So I just focus on my project team, the smallest unit of people. I talk about users, but I work in a very non-open source environment. So I'm closer to my project team than the users that I write for. Anyway, so my project team is basically lots of people in 15 small sub-projects. And on different of these projects, for some we just produce deliverables like PDF with knowledge transfer documents. For some, we write help systems. For some, it's videos. But I don't know, it kind of feels like you bring value, but it's not the kind of value that makes me want to put my Superwoman costume, which I do not have hidden in my closet, by the way. So anyway, I was always wishing to bring that kind of value that would make me feel really, really useful to my project team, and recently I managed to do that. So I'm going to show you my most important deliverable in months. And that's it. Sorry for the blurred stuff, but it's secret project, customer, whatever. So anyway, because we have these 15 small projects, and often it's very hard to remember which people work on which projects, and which people from the customer side are the contact people, or where do they sit, or anywhere. So I have this cork board near where I sit, and I decided to use it like for this purpose. So basically you can see, maybe not see very well, but anyway, there are room numbers, there are small stars on the people who are product owners or team leads, so that you can find key people at a glance. There are like visit dates for people who are coming. I think there are even such thing as what do you know about them, and like if I know that someone is a fan of sports cars, or shisha fan, or I don't know, plays some computer game at work, I would maybe put it out there, and kind of help socialize. And somehow this became a very important deliverable because like when people come, they really reference it when they want to find someone, or when they're not sure what's the name of that guy, and when customers come and ask, why don't I have a star? And you're like, oh, just a second. Anyway, so it's become kind of important, and the reason I maintain it in this way is, not somewhere on the web, is, still I find that it's easier for people to take a couple of steps than to take a couple of clicks. But this I mean that when they see it, something that they see on the wall, it's kind of more, it's in front of their eyes and it's easier to reference. So this is my most important deliverable. It's not in my job description, but kind of it makes sense. And if we fill knowledge gaps, then it's one that I've tried to fill. And hope that it inspires you to maybe find some other areas where you can be applicable and useful. Thank you.
So hello everybody. I'm Tomáš, and I'm one of the Red Hatters visiting from Brno. And one of the things that we have started doing a while back is to convert the documentation that we have on our customer portal to the user stories driven documentation. So first, a quick question. Raise your hands, please, if you are using the user stories like this particular term in working with documentation. Okay, so that's less than I expected. Okay, so the more traditional documentation is called sometimes feature-based, and the shortest distinction I can make right now is that in the traditional way we describe how a feature works in a software product and what options do you have if you want to use it. To switch to the user story-driven documentation is looking at the problem from a different perspective and asking a question, why should I even care that that feature exists? What benefits does it bring to me, right? So, because we learned that we have a lot of documentation on our customer portal, if you checked it at any time, there are dozens of guides for a single product, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and we have 40 other products. So we learned that the stuff that we document is sometimes of very little consequence to the customers. So we are spending our valuable time describing a feature that no one actually knows exists and no one actually cares about it necessarily. So to switch gears on such a big project, as you might imagine, is not an easy effort. It's like something like trying to steer a baby leviathan with a toothpick or something. So what we are trying to do, and another problem is that we don't have any resources to actually switch all the documentation that we have into this new format. So, and also one of the things I would like to mention for me personally, and you are free to disagree, one of the biggest problems of the technical documentation overall, that is that there is just too much of it. People don't have time to read documentation. People actually don't want to read the documentation, because what people actually want is to find solutions to their problems. If it can be done without reading documentation, that's perfect. So with no resources, with dozens of guides, well, actually hundreds of guides, we had very little choice. So I tried to apply, or I'm working with the writers now to apply a minimalistic approach. So what we are currently doing is looking at the documentation, isolating the user stories from the current content that we have. If we can isolate it, if we find it, we will just take it and just start editing in a very minimalistic way. We just switch perspective. The actual content doesn't actually have to change that much. And while doing that, we are also looking for stuff that doesn't need to be in the documentation in the first place. So for example, if we are specifying procedures that are corner case for only a minority of customers, or if we have a reference material in the docs that can be stuffed into a man page. So we will just remove it. So by doing this in a minimalistic way, we just trimming the documentation as we go. And the result, I hope, will be that the documentation will be shorter, it will be leaner, and it will be more useful, because it will actually be answering the questions that the reader is looking for there. And one of the elegant things about it is that if we are doing this over time with no extra resources, with the writers we currently have, that if you are not paying attention, so nobody will notice a thing for a while, except for you now. So I don't have time to go into more details, but if this topic resonates with you, just talk to me, catch me later, and I can discuss it into more detail. Thank you.